Welcome, everyone. And yes, those three superheroes inside ourselves are supposed to represent Dominic, Darren, and myself. I was getting a little clever with AI or trying to last night. Welcome to our Sunday gathering, one and all. Whatever has brought you here today, we are so grateful that you're spending your time with us. We do as much as we can every single week to help with that reminder that our loved ones who have passed are still very much part of our lives and we will see them again. We aim to uplift, to inspire, to empower, and usually to put a little smile on your face too. I'm Sandra. I'm joined here by my wonderful friends Darren and Dominic today. We're together for about 90 minutes ish. As the Sunday gathering goes on, we'll be explaining more. So just make yourself comfortable, and I'll turn it over to Darren for a little more introduction and also to open us up in prayer. But welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Sandra, and a massive welcome to each and every one of you. Yes, we're the three amigos, the three superheroes, whatever you want to call us, as long as it's nice and pleasant. We don't mind. You can call us what you like. But yes, we're back again for Sunday gathering. I don't know what number, we're in the hundreds somewhere. So it's a joy and a privilege to be part of this Sunday gathering with Dominic, Sandra, and you guys. And yes, for us in Europe and the UK, we're an hour earlier, and Australia and New Zealand as well. Doesn't it feel different making that extra hour earlier? Well, it does to me anyway. Today's theme has been put together between myself and Dominic. We had a couple of ideas of what to do, and Dominic came up with the wonderful wording, how about finding light in the darkness? Which I thought perfect. That summarizes what we've kind of been talking about and trying to do our Sunday gathering geared around. Um, Dominic's comment of all today's songs, which has chosen a great song selection, nice, upbeat, and beautiful songs. You've got myself who will be chairing today and doing the healing as well as part of the address and the opening prayer. You've got our hostess with the mostest, Miss Sandra Champlain, who again will be doing all the behind the scenes stuff and playing our music for us, as well as doing our reading for today and our closing words. And you've got Mr. Dominic Boag, who will be doing a wonderful demonstration of mediumship, part of our address and the closing prayer. So I was going to discuss what the theme was about, but do you know what? Let's leave it to the surprise of element and see what comes up. So without further ado, ladies and gents, if you'd like to join me for today's opening prayer. We join together here today as friends, brothers and sisters from across our lands, coming together here today in unity, coming together as one, with the same goal and intent within our hearts and our minds, to unify the two worlds together as one once again, as each and every one of us plays our part in whatever way we can to bring the two worlds together once again under that banner of We Don't Die. And in coming here together today, we put aside our own wants, our own needs, and our own desires, and put aside our daily lives so we can truly come together in service in allowing the two worlds to come together as one. And allowing those friends, helpers, and loved ones of that world we call unseen to come forward with their words, thoughts, and wisdom for each and every one of us to take on board. And as we join this Sunday gathering today, we do so with no demands or no expectations, but just come together with an open heart and an open mind, allowing those we love in the unseen world to be uninhibited and share as they wish. And in coming together here today, each and every one comes here today as an equal and will be treated as an equal, the same as those that join us from that unseen world, allowing each and every one of us to come together and be immersed in that unconditional love and that healing balm, allowing each and every one of us to relish in the revelation of bringing the two worlds together once again. And in coming together, we'd like to thank those in the unseen world for allowing us to walk hand in hand, side by side. Each and every one of us will share your words and your thoughts to the best of our own abilities and our own understanding. And we do this to make an improvement to all of mankind. So as we enter into this Sunday gathering, we do so with positivity within our minds, love within our hearts, and smiles upon our faces. So we truly can create that perfect meeting ground in which two worlds can come together once again. And as always, we ask that that healing balm is shared to all four corners of our world, bringing that same joy, that same healing, that same love and that same laughter to all those hearts and minds that may be in need on this day. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome our friends here today. Amen.
Thank you so much, Darren. And I especially want to thank our friends in the United Kingdom, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand for coming to our Sunday gathering 1 hour early. The North Americans changed our clocks this weekend, and it's another few weeks before the rest do. So we have two more Sunday gatherings besides this that you will sign in early. So I know the time change can be tricky, but we are all so grateful that you're here. And speaking of being grateful, in my reading today, I want to talk about where we can put our focus. Right now, I'm sure you can agree, the world can feel incredibly heavy and very dark. If we stare at the news too long, we can find ourselves drowning in a pool of negativity and fear. But my wonderful mom, Marion, who's just upstairs, has a favorite saying. She says, "Don't wait for things to happen, make them happen." So I want to tell you a story about a woman who did exactly that. So here's my reading for today. Clara lived in a town that had fallen under a very gray cloud. It wasn't the weather, it was the attitude. Everyone in the town was obsessed with the town crier, who stood in the square every morning shouting all the things that were going wrong with the world. The villagers gathered around, listening to the gloom, shaking their heads and carrying that heavy worry with them and talking about it all day long. They complained to the baker about the bread. They grumbled to the postman. They were mean to their spouses, and they walked around with their heads hanging low. Clara found herself doing the exact same thing, and she felt exhausted, fearful, and quite drained. She realized that by giving all of her attention to the negativity, it was growing like a weed within her heart. She remembered that the mind is exactly like a bank account. You can only withdraw what you deposit. So Clara decided to stop waiting for the town to cheer up. She was going to make things happen. She decided to become the Pied Piper of gratitude. The next morning, instead of stopping in the square to listen to the doom and gloom, Clara walked right past it. She went into the bakery, looked the exhausted baker in the eye, and said, "Your bread brings so much comfort to my family. You, my friend, have a true gift." The baker stood up a little straighter and he smiled. She saw the postman rushing through the rain, and she handed him a hot cup of coffee. "Thank you for always making sure we are connected," she told him. Clara started complimenting the flowers in her neighbors' yards. She started speaking about the good things she noticed about other people and what they were doing. She was joyful, she was grateful, and she was overflowing with sunshine. And then the miraculous happened. People started wanting to hang out with Clara. Why? Because it simply felt so good to be around her. The baker started complimenting his customers. The postman started whistling on his route. Without a single argument or debate, Clara's bright, confident tune had completely changed the atmosphere of her town. People followed her lead simply because joy is magnetic and irresistible. So, what's the lesson from our story? Well, my friends, whatever we give our attention to grows. We cannot snap our fingers and fix every piece of negative news in the world. I know we wish we could, but we do have total control over what we deposit into the bank accounts of our own minds. If we dwell on the fear, we will speak fear and we will create fear. But if we choose to be the Pied Piper of gratitude, if we choose to compliment people, to look for the good, and to radiate joy, we become a beacon of light that others desperately want to follow. You are so much stronger than you think, and people are watching how you walk through this world right now. So this week, don't wait for the world to bring you sunshine. Think of my mom, make things happen. Feed the positivity, be the person that other people want to be around, and watch how beautifully your own life grows and glows. Thank you for listening to my reading. I'll pass it over to Darren for the healing.
Thank you to Marion and Clara for their good, uplifting bits, thoughts, and inspiration. We're now going to go into our healing segment. And what I want us to do, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. Yeah, when you've only got to look at the media to see what's going on. But as we sit for our healing, rather than focus what's going on, let's try focusing on the positive. Let's focus on these places, being full of sunshine, being full of love, being full of joy. Same as those loved ones in our lives. Let's not focus on what they're going through. Let's focus on the positive. Let's focus on them smiling, happy, joyful. And the same for yourself. If you need a little bit of healing yourself, don't be afraid to think of yourself also in a positive, smiley, happy place. Let's send that positive love, that happiness, and that joy out there today. And today we've got a wonderful Elvis song played by a group called Music Travel Love. And it's one of my favorites. So sit back and enjoy. You can close your eyes or you can watch the video, but whatever you do, just send those positive thoughts out there.
Well, we certainly done a good job picking that song, Darren, didn't you? Very well done. Very well done. Beautiful song. So it's always a pleasure to be back with my fellow amigos, but of course also to be back with yourselves as well. So sincerely, thank you so much for taking time and joining us. As Darren says, both myself and Darren came up with today's theme. And I really started to get inspiration as we are now in March and as we are now starting to see, well, especially here in Scotland, the cold, dark days and nights starting to get a little bit lighter. I'm not going to tempt fate and say get a little bit warmer, but we're almost there. And it really had me thinking about how we start to look at life and how we choose to look at situations and how we can really look for light in the darkness. As most of you know, we are all going through a lot of changes and a lot of challenges. And there's also a lot of, I guess you could say, anger in the world at the moment and upset. And I think we could all say that that is a cloud of darkness, really, isn't it? No matter where we are in the world, no matter what your religion or your views of life are, it's affecting us as humanity, I would say. So I thought, let's try to see if we can find inspiration for today's gathering. Let's see if we can try to bring in a little bit of the rainbow. How about that? A little bit of the rainbow into the darkness. I always love when we start to head towards spring. I love to see the changes coming into the world. For so long as I've walked, it's been wet, it's been rainy, it's been cold, it's been icy, it's been dark. But the past few days, as I've been out walking, we've started to see the snowdrop flowers starting to come up. The daffodils are now in bloom. And that itself just brings colour. It brings colour into life, and it brings a sense of light, I guess you could say, into your world. And one of the greatest things I always try to say to people, especially if they're going through maybe issues in their own life, maybe if they're feeling a bit down or depressed, or they're feeling, that they're missing someone so much, or they've got things going on in their own life that they just feel so trapped and they feel that there is no light, or there is no light at the end of the tunnel. I always say to people, if you can't change the situation, change how you choose to look at the situation, and look at other ways that you can open the darkness and let light in. And for me, going walks, I love to walk. Darren and Sandra both know that I'm a little bit of a nature geek like Sandra. I like to see the birds and the deers or the rabbits, or I like to know the wildlife's there. And I always say to people, get out there. There may be darkness in here, but get out there. And whether you're able to walk for miles or kilometers, or whether you're just able to walk from your living room out into your yard, get outside. You know, it's so silly, but today when I was out walking, I was so conscious of the birds singing and the birds tweeting away. And in the back of my mind, I felt like saying to them, you have no clue what's going on in this world right now, do you? But of course, I'm not going to start talking to birds. It's crazy enough to talk to dead people, never mind talking to birds. But, you know, the birds were just tweeting away and flying away without a care in the world. And I thought, good for you. That's nice. And as I kept walking, as I said, I started to, see the daffodils and the flowers. And as we were walking, one of the beautiful places that we walk has what I could only describe to you like a baby waterfall. Basically, it's just a stream coming off of the moors, off of the hills, and I could hear that. I thought, yeah, there's life in there somewhere. Wherever it's coming from and to wherever it's going, it's bringing a sense of life. And it really then had me thinking as well of how we choose to look at the way we react to things. You know, sometimes I think, and I will hold my hand up, I find it very difficult sometimes to stay in the positive rather than jump to the negative, And I think we all could be like that. If there's something that's happened, oh, the flight's delayed. God damn it, the flight's delayed. That's another 3 hours. We've got to sit in this airport. I've done it many times myself. But now I'm going to start saying, well, maybe it's another chance that I could go back to duty free and see if there's anything that I want to treat myself to before I leave. Or you could be like me and Darren and say, well, it's another opportunity. We could grab another beer. There's lots of ways that we could look at it positively. Yes, it may interrupt maybe other travel plans, but you know what? If you get there and if you're going to get there safe, then is it really such a problem? Probably not. At the moment we've got this war going on, I guess you could call it. And who knows what's going to happen? Who knows how long it's going to last? Can you fix it? Can I fix it? No. But what I know we can do is if we choose to send healing, or if we choose to send a little prayer, we can at least put a positive thought out to maybe have a quick resolution, or to keep the innocent safe, or whatever it may be. We can choose to put a reflection in a good way to it. I did a reading just yesterday, and I was reading for a lady who had lost her husband, and they had been married for nearly 40 years. And, she was so empowered, she was so stoic, she was so positive. And yes, it was hard losing her husband through cancer. His cancer went everywhere, and they didn't have long. And one of the things that the husband kept sharing with me was the trips that they had, the vacations they had, the things they done, where they went, their family. And he reminded me as well, yes, I may not be here with my wife physically. He says, but young man, we had 40 years together of great joy. He says, that's what kept me going when I just wanted to give up. I thought, that's incredible. I didn't share that with her, but at the end of the reading, just as I was finishing with her, she says, I'm very lucky. She says, I know he's not here with me physically. She says, but I feel we were very lucky to have had 40 years together. She says, that's what keeps me going now. I thought, isn't that incredible? Two people who are solely connected through that bond of love, almost speaking in a similar tone. Some people can really get wound up over the most simplest of things. But again, it's how we choose to look at it, how we choose to say, yes, it's happened, or this isn't a great situation, but then let's look at it differently. Let's try to bring a little bit of light into the darkness. But then, even if your world is full of light and full of joy, there's there's ways that you could bring a little bit of your light into other people's darkness as well. You know, there's a beautiful saying out there: if you see someone that's not smiling, give them yours. I think that's very beautiful. A simple, kind act of just smiling to someone, whether you're in the grocery stores or whether you're out shopping or you're commuting on the subway or the train or whatever, giving someone a little smile. It may actually start a conversation. And that conversation may lead you into giving them inspiration or an opportunity to maybe smile or look at things happy or great as well. I remember very very early stages in my eye condition, I used to work with computers, and with working with computers, obviously you need to be able to see the software and see the things on the computer very well. And when I was no longer able to maintain that job, and I was losing my confidence, I didn't feel that I was able to do it anymore. I almost felt like, that's it. So that's, I'm never going to work. What else can I do? And poor me, poor me. But then I started to realize, well, actually, maybe it's just a door closing for something greater and brighter to open up. It was about me just learning to learn or to look at my life in a different manner, I guess you could say. And look where I am now. Look at the things that I've been able to go on and do and see and achieve, and hopefully still go on to do and see and achieve. And I certainly like to think that out of my darkness, I've been able to bring a lot of light into other people's darkness. You see? But I would really encourage you, especially as the seasons are starting to change and the weather starting to change, seeing beautiful change out in nature just now. As I look out the window just now, I can actually see the changes in the colours of the sky, just ever so briefly of the sun starting to set. And I'm actually thinking to myself, as the sun is setting, well, that's just an opportunity for the moon to come up. As the sun is setting, it's another opportunity for us to have a new day tomorrow. So I guess what I'm really trying to say is look outside the box for your light. Look at who you have in front of you, the opportunities you have in front of you. If you have a home over your head, if you have food on your table, clothes on your body, surely that's a little bit of light and joy as well, isn't it? But I want to say something to you that may sound a little bit crazy. But next week, as you go through your days, if you can, bring a little bit of the outside in. Maybe treat yourself to getting some daffodils or some carnations or some flowers, or I don't know, bring some nature into your world, because I can assure you it will change the energy around you, and it will also change your mindset as well. One last story that I will share with you about having love of joy and spring. Before I had moved where I grew up, basically straight across the street to my bedroom, my living room, it looked out into to a farm. And we always knew that change was upon us when we could lie in bed and have the window open and hear the baas of the new lambs. And it sounds so simple, it really, really does, but being able to hear these innocent, beautiful little babies, these creatures batting away, I don't even know if that's the word to say, but bah, to their moms and to their siblings or to the rest, and being able to lie and hear these little lambs knowing that they've came into the world, this new life. And it always made me feel excited, because I then knew that come April and then May, it's time to get planning the summer. And, it just makes me get excited for what's ahead. So again, maybe even have a look at the wildlife. Take yourself into nature and, have a look at the changes that are coming, and feel the positivity, and even be a little bit crazy and touch a tree or hug a tree, or maybe you'll be more courageous and talk to the birds. I don't know. But there's a lot more for us to be positive about rather than looking at the darkness that's going on just now. So bring a little bit of light into the darkness. That's certainly what I will say to you, because trust me, there's always a rainbow after a storm. And that's certainly one thing that I know is coming, is a rainbow. So thank you very much for listening. Sorry about my sheep impressions, but you know what? I hope it made you laugh. I hope it made you smile. I'm not going to sing Old MacDonald Had a Farm, but thank you very much for listening, and I will pass you over to Darren.
Thank you very much for that, Dominic. And yes, yourself and Sandra do bring a lot of light into this dark world. So thank you to both of you. There is, when me and Dominic were just trying to work out this Sunday gathering, we started talking about what's going on in the world, and there is a lot going on in the world. The world is surrounded by darkness. And then, we sort of got to talking, well, what can we do? We can't physically do something ourselves. We can't physically change the whole world ourselves. But what can we do within our own lives? Let's look at our own lives. And I know with me and Scott, we come home from work. First thing we do is put the kettle on, have a cup of coffee, and we sit down and put the news on to see what's happened in the day. But do you know what? Recently, I've said to, we've watched a bit of it, and I said to Scott, turn this off. I can't, it's too much. Sometimes you can be influenced heavily by the news and the media. I think, especially nowadays, news and media loves to thrive on negativity and bad, anything bad going on, they love to thrive on it. And it's important to know what's going on in the world, absolutely. But sometimes when they go on about it and on about it and on about it, it becomes too much. And I've got into a routine now. I'll sit down, watch, kind of summarize what's going on, and I'll turn it over. I don't want to keep. And I think reporters are trained in a certain way as well. They don't just give you the fact, they go on and on and on about the same thing. And I say to Scott, do you know what? There's enough negativity going on. We don't need all this as well. So let's just see what's happening and change to something happy. And that's what we do now. If not, it gets a good slap. But no, sometimes, negativity can take over. We've all been in those situations and those places. We have negativity around us sometimes. We work with the public because we've got the diner. And some days you come home and you're like, oh my, what a day. And it's more because people sometimes, they're influenced as well. People can be heavily influenced. And they come in and they share that negativity and they spread that negativity. And sometimes you go to work full of joy and happiness. And by the end of it, you're so drained and demoralized. And we try not to let it, impact us because it's, like I said, it's easy to do. How many of us, get a bit of news or hear something we don't want to hear, and straight away you get defensive, you get angry, and you can feed into that negativity. We had it happen a couple of days. We're in the process of getting rid of the diner, and we had some news from the solicitor that we wasn't over the moon about, and it was to do with the bill. But we had our say. We could have dwelled about it. We could have gone on about it. But do you know what? I said to Scott, let's just get it done. The quicker we get it done, the quicker they're out of our lives. We don't have to deal with these people again. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't. I think as you get older and wiser, well, for me, it's probably just older. But I think as you get older, you get less tolerant. I certainly do. You get less tolerant of people with negativity. And I know over recent years, so I've got a croaky throat. Myself and Scott, we've tried to cut as much negativity from our lives as we can because, bottom line, we don't need it. You guys don't need it. Who needs negativity? But sadly, as much as what's going on in the world, do you find there's these people that love to thrive on negativity, love to bring people down? They kind of get joy and satisfaction, I think, in seeing people suffer, seeing people struggle. And they're the sort of people, I have no time for. I don't want them clouding my doorstep, so off you go. And even family members. We even have a family member who's continuously negative. Thankfully, we don't have anything to do with anymore. Because, when you look at these people and you think, what value are they adding to me? What are they bringing to my life? Nothing. They're bringing misery, heartache, upset. Do we need that? No, we don't. So, as harsh as it may be, or as wonderful it may be, sometimes it's just quick and easy, just cut these people out, let them go. And I always say to Scott sometimes, we talk about different things, and I say, but when you look at these people, the people I call negative Nellies, when you look at them, I say, what have they truly got? Are they happy? No, they're not. They're trying to project their unhappiness onto other people. You know, what do they do with themselves? Nothing. Who goes and visits them? No one. Who do they visit? Well, probably nobody allows them. So when you look at these people, as sad as it is, what is their purpose? What are they doing? How are they fulfilling their lives? And for me personally, they're not. I like to be joyful, happy, bubbly, and I like people around me to be the same. And I try to be as good as I can to people. There's, like I said, as you get older, like I am, there's no need for negativity. Things happen, like Dominic said, you get delayed on a flight. Yeah, you could sit and moan about it. You can complain about it. You can go and complain to a member of staff. You can shout at people. What does it achieve? Does it change the situation? No. It's how you deal with that situation. And like Dominic said, if I was in the airport and mine and Dominic's flight was cancelled or Sandra's flight was cancelled, let's go to the bar and get something to drink and eat. Let's go and, do something fun. It's the same with anything. It's what you make of that situation. And I always say to my staff sometimes, when they're moody and miserable, I always say, do you realize how much effort it takes to be moody and miserable versus how much effort it takes to be happy? If you want to go home drained and tired, you carry on being moody and miserable because that's what it does to you. It drains you. But if you want to go home full of joy, full of beans, full of life, then try putting a smile on your face and being happy. Because do you know what? When those customers come through the door, they'll give you that same joy, that same smile, that same happiness back. But you greet them with a miserable attitude, you'll get that miserable attitude back and it'll make your work twice as hard. And I'm a strong believer in that. Whether they listen to me or not is another thing. But do you know what? That's my belief. If you approach people with joy and happiness, you'll hopefully get that same joy and happiness back. And how easy is it to work and serve with people when you're happy and laughing, they're happy and laughing, you can have a joke, and it makes life so much easier. But like I said, it's what you make of a situation. And with all of those moments, those dark moments in our lives, haven't we, where we've struggled, it's been hard. But again, and I think Dominic touched on, I'm a believer, you need to help yourself a little bit. Years back, I can only go back to my own personal experiences. Many years ago, me and Scott struggled financially. Do you know what? We could have sat back, we could have moaned about it, we could have complained about it, expecting other people to do something about it. But you know what? We didn't. It was tough. It was hard. But we went out as well as running a diner. We got other jobs to supplement our income to try and sort us out financially. But you know what? It was hard work. It was tough, but we did it. We didn't ask for help. We didn't ask for support. And you know what? And there's that old famous saying, isn't there? There's always light at the end of the tunnel. So we was exhausted, we was drained, but you know what? We could see the light at the end of the tunnel. We got through it. It took a year and a half, 2 years, but you know what? We got to where we needed to be. We covered all our finances, got rid of all our debts, and thankfully I can now say we're sat here in a more positive place. We don't have to worry or stress like we did back then. But, again, you get those people around you, and I say to people all the time, hopefully Sandra and Dominic, they know what I'm like. And if somebody's got problems and, what have you, I'll happily, gladly sit down and talk to you and help you through them. But my first question will always be, but what are you doing? You've got this issue, you've got this problem, but what are you doing to help yourself? I will help you if you're helping yourself, but don't expect me to give 110% of the help if you're going to just sit back and do nothing. So I think sometimes to get out there, to see that lightness, we sometimes, as hard as it may be, I think we have to give ourselves that kick up the backside, and try and see for ourselves. Other people will help and support you, but I think we need to make that first move ourselves. And if you think, I know we've touched in the Northern Hemisphere, we're going from the darkness to the light because we're going from winter to spring. And if you think, I'm not a big garden person, as in gardening, I love sitting in a garden. But you think when you plant that seed in the spring, how does that seed grow? It needs sunlight, it needs water, it needs nurturing, it needs coaxing. We're the same. If you think if that plant wasn't given sunlight, wasn't given water, wasn't given a nurturing, do you know what? It wouldn't grow. It'd stay the same. It'd still be the seed in amongst all the dirt. We're the same. Human beings, we're conditioned in the same way. If you think of us, well, I know I can only speak for myself, but I love the sunshine, and I know Dominic does, and I know Sandra does. So give me a bit of sunshine, I'm happy and smiling. Give me a bit of water, feed me, I'm happy. But think, if you left me sat in a corner, ignored me, didn't show me any sunshine, didn't feed me, didn't give me any water, I'd probably walk away, probably disappear back into the dirt. So I think as humans, we're the same. If we look at our outside world, I know Dominic spoke about it, when we walk in our nature, especially now in the Northern Hemisphere, we're walking out, we can see the buds coming out, we can see the daffodils, we can see everything starting to come to life, everything starting to bloom. Why? Because it's being given that nurture, it's been given that sunshine, it's been given that love. The same as us and the people around us. When we give people, like I said, that smile, that love, that encouragement, guess what? We flourish, we grow. And hopefully we do that here. I know between the three of us, we do it to each other. We give each other encouragement, laughter, joy, whatever it may be, which allows us to come on and be who we are and be happy, bubbly people, hopefully. Can you imagine if Sandra was miserable and negative and Dominic was miserable and negative and I had to come in and work with these people? I'd be honest, I'd be not fearful, but I'd be resistant to coming and work. I thought, oh, I've got to go and work with these miserable people. But thankfully, I can say the opposite. I look forward to coming on the Sunday gathering and working because I know I've got happy, bubbly, smiley people that get me, people that get you, people that get each other, and people that want to make a difference. So yeah, there is a lot of darkness. And I just remember there's a gentleman called Jose Madrado, who's a spiritual artist in Brazil, and he was over in the UK once. And we went out for dinner with him, and I never forget the words he said. I can't remember exactly word for word, so I'll try and replicate it as best I can. And we were talking about problems and issues and what have you. And he said one of his friends once told him, when you mention a problem, he always says, is there a solution to your problem? And if you said yes, well, what's the solution? Well, it's X, Y, Z. Right. Well, do X, Y, Z, and you'll eradicate that problem. And he also said, is there a solution to your problem? And if you said no, there isn't, well, why is it a problem? If there's no solution, and I suppose that kind of rung a bell with me. Sometimes we take on a lot within our lives, don't we? We think about what's going on in the world and other people and all that kind of stuff. If we can do something to help, it makes it easier. We can make a change. But like Dominic touched on, if we physically can't do anything to eradicate that problem or change that problem, we can't see it as a problem because we can't do anything about it. The only thing we can do is, and I think it's the one way we can help everyone, is look at ourselves. If we're happy, bubbly, positive, hopefully we can affect the people around us and the people we come into contact with. Those people will in turn start to impact and affect the people, so on and so forth. So hopefully we can grow that little bubble we're in of happiness and joy. And like I said, running the diner, we have people coming in. I had a couple come in the other day, and they're saying it's so nice to come in here. You can talk, you guys listen, we're smiling, we're laughing. But yet you go in a cafe down the road and they're miserable. They don't engage in conversation. They're always moody. I know we'll say, do you know what? We can be moody, but again, what does it achieve? Nothing. You know, why bring other people down? So the one thing I would urge everyone to do is, yes, we all go through those dark moments. We all go through those horrible moments. But do you know what? Sometimes it's how we deal with that. Let's look at these issues around us that we have at this moment in time. Can we change them? Can we have an influence on them? If the answer's no, let's put it to one side. What can we impact? What can we change? We can change and influence how we wake up in the morning, can't we? So when we wake up in the morning, it could be glorious sunshine or it could be a thunderstorm outside. But do you know what? If we wake up with that frame of mind, we're going to have a good day. We go out, once you've had your cup of coffee like me, you can go out into the world, bubbling, smiling, no matter what the weather is. Think what a better world it would be if everybody did the same. No matter what it is outside, the sunshine will always follow you. You know, your smiles, your positivity. And again, I suppose I always think of it like the spirit world as well. And I think I've mentioned it many years ago on this Sunday gathering. You think if you're working as a medium and you want to demonstrate for people, if you're in the spirit world and you want to come through and communicate, who would you choose to communicate through? Would you choose to communicate through somebody that was bubbly, happy, jolly? Or would you choose to communicate through someone that was miserable, depressing? If you're a joyful, happy person like I believe I am, I wouldn't want to come and communicate through somebody that was negative and miserable and depressing. You're like attracts like, as they say, doesn't it? And I think that's why me, Dominic, and Sandra get on quite well because we're very much alike. We're very much happy, jolly people. And I strongly believe that's like those in the spirit world as well, that, like attracts like. And I think, if we're joyful, happily, bubbly, you know, you attract that from the spirit world. People are attracted to you. And they always say, don't they, you can see your light shining bright. And I truly believe that. If you're a happy, positive person, your light will shine bright from all those in the unseen world to see. But not just those in the unseen. I think people in this side of life can also see that as well. You naturally, sometimes when you first meet people, within the first 30 seconds, you make an opinion on that person, don't you? And generally, you can tell if they're a happily, bubbly person by the way they interact with you. So my one plea, or not plea, my one thing, recommendation, I suppose would be the word. No matter what's going on, there's enough darkness in this world. And like myself with Scott and the news, I tell him to turn it off. And I think sometimes we need to do that in our own lives, that negativity, that darkness, whatever it may be. Let's turn it off. Let's put it to one side. And let's promote, let's engage with our happy, bubbly, joyful spirits that we truly all have. And hopefully, we can try and fill this world with a lot more joy, a lot more happiness, and let's extinguish this darkness. And we certainly can within our own lives. So, no excuses, no, reasoning why we can't do it. Let's go out there and show the world how light this world truly can be. And it starts with ourselves, ladies and gents. So, go forward this week with joy, smiles, and happiness. The best thing we can do for yourselves and everyone else. And now hand you back to Mrs. Sandra.
Thank you so much, Darren and Dominic, for those profound and wonderfully wise words. I'm very jealous. We still have 2 feet of snow on the ground, so there's no sign of daffodils here yet. And we have some people in the chat box that would love to be stranded in an airport with us. Friends, I can tell you, we laugh until we cry. We have a good time together, don't we? So with that, friends, we're going to move on to our demonstration of mediumship. This is just an opportunity for you to know that our loved ones are still around. They're still very much part of our lives. There will be some members of our community that will get readings here today, but I 100% believe that those in the spirit world that come through today really are messengers for all of us. Just like I hope you could take something out of my reading and the wonderful words from Dominic and Darren, those in the spirit world have things to say. Now, Now, they may be disguised as messages for their loved ones, but if you listen in close enough, you might just say, oh, I could use a little bit of that as well. So I think they speak for all. That being said, I want to explain how the medium demonstration works. I know we've got some people here for the very first time and some returning Sunday gatherers. Dominic is our wonderful medium, volunteering his services here today. In his own way, he will request from those in spirit to work through him. I know I always have a prayer, let the person who needs it the most receive the reading. But I do know also that there's 100+ people that are always saying, let it be me. I know we want to hear from our loved ones, but these representatives just show that all of our loved ones truly are around. So Dominic will describe the spirit person that is connecting with him. We want everybody to be on the edge of your seat. Do you know this person? Now, the one thing in common, they no longer breathe air in our world. They're no longer a physical body, but they could be a friend. They could be a family member. It could be somebody you worked with. Could be somebody distant from your past. We never quite know how they will work. But if you can understand the whole description of the spirit person that Dominic has just described, we want you to press your raise hand button. So this is the opportunity for you on whatever kind of device you're on to find that raise hand button and press it for me. Some people are putting their hands up before I even ask. I love that. You're trained, aren't you? Very well. If you're on a phone or an iPad or something and you can't find it, there's 3 little dots. You can press that and then you'll see the raise hand button. Okay. If all else fails and you can't get our attention, you can certainly type in the chat box, my hand is raised or something. So listen in close. There are times, my friends, that more than one person can take all of the information, in which case Dominic will continue to give other bits of information. You will notice that that raise hand button has now turned to lower hand. So you can go ahead and press your lower hand button. And this is important because if there are 3 people that can all take the information and Dominic keeps working and you say, ooh, that piece no longer fits, please do us the favor and lower your hand just so we can get to the correct person the fastest. It's always an adventure or an opportunity, I'll call it, because we are all over the world joined by technology, but we do the very best we can. If you are our person working with our medium today, I press a button on my side, you're going to get a little pop-up on your screen and an unmute button will appear. We want you to press it. All we need from you is a yes, no, or I don't know to the information that Dominic gives. Now, this goes for any medium demonstration or reading you have ever in the future. Just a yes, no, or I don't know. Let the medium do the work. A good medium, we can all feel the benefit. We can all feel the emotion from the spirit world. We can all feel that connection. So it does help to hear your voice. And like I said, yes, no, or I don't know. Your camera stays off, so please don't worry about that. Pretty much how it goes. Our loved ones know exactly who's here on the Sunday gathering. You could be out for a walk thinking nobody knows. Oh, your loved ones do. So we never know how they work. So we'll just be ready for anything. All right. Simple as that. And what would the rest of us do? We hope that and pray that people that need it the most get the messages. And then we're going to draw these messages towards ourselves, maybe taking in some of the messages that we might need or want to adapt for ourselves, and also to know how close our spirit friends are. Before we go into our demonstration, we always like to play a feel-good piece of music. For me, it's an opportunity. I just sit here and imagine my loved ones around me, dancing a little with the big smiles on their face, sharing their love and their joy. We don't have to wait for a Sunday gathering for our loved ones to be with us. They are easily enjoying the spirit world and exploring the great halls of learning and the libraries and all those things. But in a split second, they're right back by our side so they can multitask. It'll be cool once we get there. So let me play this song for you. The song is called Starlight by Westlife. And then when the song ends, we'll have our demonstration with Dominic. That's a great song. Thank you, Dominic.
I love the last words of that verse. We can all be starlights. There we go. There we go. So just as I'm allowing the spirit world to come forward, I am very much aware of a gentleman stepping forward here just now. And I do believe that he I wasn't sure if he had cancer that was in his brain, but I know that I want to talk about issues surrounding his brain, either fluid, or a bleed. I know that this man talks to me about issues with his brain before passing to the spirit world. I do believe that this would be a husband to connect with his wife. I really know that there's issues with the brain here because I know there would be memories of going and having. I'm not sure what you guys call them, but MRI scans or PET scans, but I know that he's acknowledging the scans. I did keep hearing the name Tony, so I feel there should be a connection to the name Tony or Anthony as I connect with this man as well, because I keep getting that quite strong as I connect here with him.
Thank you very much. If you understand this information, press your raise hand button for us, please. We have Lori with her hand raised. Lori, you should see that unmute button. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Laurie, do you understand the connection to the name Tony or Anthony, sweetie?
Absolutely, but there is one part that I don't understand, so
Okay, but do you understand where I've got the issue with the brain or the
yes,
head as well, sweetie? Okay, but not your husband.
exactly.
Okay, my apologies. But would you understand if I was to say that he was very close and that we were all connected within the family, please?
Yes,
Okay, and would I be right to say that he would have a partner still here?
I believe so.
Perfect. Okay, that's fine, because I don't want to change it, but I don't want to dwell on it, if that's okay.
Sure.
But I definitely kept hearing the name Anthony or Tony, is simply what I want to say here. He comes across very almost like a ray of light himself, Laurie, if I can say that to you. I just feel like he's got a contagious smile, and I don't know why, but I just feel like he's showing me like he's in a much better, frame of mind, a much better feeling physically. It just makes me feel so happy, if I can say that to you. And I feel as he's connected here with me, it's almost like he wants his friends and his family to know that he's found himself again in the spirit world, if I can say that to you. Okay.
Thank you.
So it
Yes.
makes me feel so joyful, so happy. I know that he would have been loved by so many different people, because I want to talk about maybe several different memorial type things that maybe would have been done in his memory or in his honor as well, if I can say that. So not just a funeral, but I feel maybe friends or other people had done maybe other things for him as well, if I can say that, because it just makes me feel that he felt so lucky to have been loved the way he was, if I can say that to you, sweetie. Would you accept if I said to you that he could be quite a deep man? And what I mean by that is maybe he wouldn't necessarily always express his deep emotion. He would maybe be quite stoic or quite tough in his own beautiful
Oh
way.
yeah. Yes.
Because I know that he's acknowledging to me that not a regret, but one of the things that he's learned from the spirit world is there's no need to be shy in telling people you love them, or that you're not coping well, or you're not doing good. So I know that this is something that he didn't navigate very well, if I can say that to you.
True. Yes.
But he keeps telling me to say, I now realize. Sweetie, do you understand why I get the impression of like fluid or things going
Yes.
on with the brain with him, sweetie?
Yes.
And can I say to you, and I hope this doesn't come across rude, but to your knowledge, would you understand why I feel that maybe collectively with doctors and specialists, they realised that maybe there wasn't much that could have been done to fix him?
Yes.
Because he keeps telling me to say that he knows that that was a blow that maybe we were not anticipating or were not hoping for. Okay. But he
Yep.
keeps telling me to say that his legacy, he thinks himself as a bit of a legend, if I can say this to you, Laurie. But he's like, my legacy still lives on. He says, so it's all
Yes.
good. It's all good. Is what I want to say. Do you know if he was ever involved in like engineering or construction at any point?
I can
Yeah.
follow that. Yeah. Mhm.
Because I feel like he's showing me almost like, now I don't like working symbolically, I like fact, but he is making me feel like he's helping you and others that are extremely close to him navigate how to build your way forward into a more positive and a more happier future as well. So I know that you, similar to what we were saying earlier, of trying to be more optimistic, and there's an excitement around you for this year, is certainly what I want to say. Okay. And he wants you to know that he is there banging your drum, hitting your cymbals. He is marching forward with you as well, is what I need to say.
Wonderful.
Okay. He doesn't want people thinking that what happened to him was in vain. Okay. I do believe, and I don't think you will know this, but I do believe that maybe they were able to learn from him medically as well. Okay. So whether
Yeah.
that was maybe being able to look at the scans more or look at bloods, I don't know. It just makes me feel that they were able to learn from his situation as well that may benefit or help others moving forward, is what I want to say here.
Okay.
Okay. I could be wrong, but it keeps bringing my attention to looking over or watching over a young boy this side of life. So I do want to say to you that he wants you to know that he's able to be around this young man, this young boy, and he's very proud of him. Okay, so I do need to say that. So whether this is his son or your son, but I know I want to talk about watching a young boy, learning to ride a bike, being on a bicycle, and just seeing him really getting things in motion now as well, if I can say that. So he's certainly enjoying watching these people, if I
Thank
can
you.
tell you, sweetie. Okay. He does make me feel that we didn't quite get our goodbyes the way that we deserved, did we?
No. Yeah,
No.
absolutely. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's just in my mind here now. Obviously, I cannot see you, but he's just making me feel that he's came up behind you, throwing his big bare arms around you, and he just leaned in to give you a kiss, and he says, "But you knew I loved you anyway."
Yeah.
He just keeps telling me to say, I'm good. I'm good. Don't you worry. I'm good. I secretly think he's kind of trying to wrap it up to go get a bud or a beer or something, if I'm honest with you. Actually, I want to say a Miller. A Miller, okay.
Oh my gosh.
But
Yes.
it had to be Miller, he said. And I don't know why. I'm not going to get into it, but he's like, actually, young man, it's a Miller. And I feel like he's either like opening it from his teeth or something, but he is an absolute beautiful young man, let me tell you that. So, Laurie, thank you so much for allowing me to,
Thank
to share
you.
that with you, sweetie. I feel maybe that's maybe giving you a little bit of a rainbow in your heart, just knowing that he's still very much around you all.
It did. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. You take care, my darling,
You
and all
too.
the best for this year, okay?
Thank you.
Big kisses. Bye bye now. So I'm also very much aware of a lady that steps forward here from the spirit world. And I do believe as she's connecting here with me, she would be your mother. So this would be mum. Okay. I know as she's connecting here with me as well, it's quite weird what I'm about to say. I kind of want to say she's a tough Italian Irish woman, so I don't know if there's like a kind of mix here. But boy, is she a tough cookie! Is certainly what I want to say here. I keep getting like either like Maureen or Marion or something, but I keep getting not Mary, but Maureen or Marilyn, something like this as I'm connecting with this woman here. I do believe at some point she would have worked for herself. So I feel she would either have ran her own business or she would have been yeah, she would have run her own business because I feel she ran the shop. That's the words I want to say here. She ran the shop. I do believe also she's connecting here with me. There would have been knowledge of heart issues with her. So whether it starts off as angina and then went into heart failure. I know that I want to talk about her heart just wasn't very good towards the end, is what I want to say here. I don't feel she lived in Florida, but I feel that maybe she was like a snowbird, and I only know that term from maybe people coming from like the East Coast and heading from the winter. But I know that there was either a family holiday home. She would have spent time in Florida, but I don't feel that's where she lived in Florida. Is what I want to say here.
Thank you very much. All right, who understands this information? Go ahead and press your raise hand button for us.
No one.
Not
Let me
yet.
see if I can get a little bit more. I, I keep feeling a sense of either doing like bookkeeping or admin. There's something to do with like being very yeah, I feel like either accounts or bookkeeping. She would have been good financially with books and numbers and things like this. Is certainly what I want to say here. I also keep getting a strong feeling of an S name as well. So maybe Sheila or Stella, something like a Ella, Sheila, like a name like this as well that I feel maybe connected with her also.
Thank you. Is there anyone who thinks that this might be for you? Please press your raise hand button. Well, we have Sandra and Sheila. both raised their
Okay,
hand.
let me just double check with Sheila, because obviously that name kind of came around in some way. So let's just double check with her first.
All right, Sheila, if you could unmute yourself there. Hi, Sheila.
Yeah, I relate to a couple of the statements. She was a tough cookie.
Yep.
And she was really smart and very able.
Yep.
When she started out, she had her own business, but that at the end she did not. She did something else really important.
That's okay. But I felt like she was, she was, I don't want to say academic, but she could run the shop. That's the impression I got.
Yeah.
She could do herself. She could work herself. Do you understand the thing about the holiday home or going south or being like a snowbird?
Yeah, well, she lived in Florida, but was originally from Chicago. But she lived.
That'll do me. That's okay. Perfect. And do you understand like a Maureen, Marlene, like an
Yeah,
MAR?
yeah, my sister's name, who's on the other side, was
Yep.
Merle.
Perfect. Okay, sweetie. This does feel good. Sandra, thank you so very much, but I want to stick with the evidence if that's okay. Darren, where am I getting the impression of the heart just not really having the strength to keep going? Where am I getting the heart failure?
She passed because of heart failure.
Okay, sweetie, thank you so very, very much. I do believe now, I'm not saying I've got your sister. I'm obviously aware of your sister, but I'm not saying I have your sister as yet, okay? But please take comfort that she had been mentioned, so clearly they're together in some capacity, if I can say this to you, okay? I do feel there's a great sense of the feeling of her being a tough cookie, if I can say that to you. And I feel like this is something that is a strength that maybe they're trying to deliver to you or to give to you at the moment. So I'm not going to pry into your personal life, but I know that maybe whatever's maybe been going on, they're trying to give you that inner strength and that inner faith to keep going forward as well at the moment, if I can say this to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
That's okay. And I know just very much as I come closer, would you understand where I would have memories as well of being around the dining table or the kitchen table and having conversations and coffee and just like family chat back and forth?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like I don't even know if this is the right word to use, but here we go. I almost feel like the kitchen or the kitchen table being the epicenter of, the hustle and the bustle is what I want to say here, to a point that even whilst we're sitting, whilst we're talking, I may as well just start peeling the potatoes, or I may as well start prepping the dinner just whilst I'm engaging or talking is what I need to say here. May I also say to you, sweetie, with your sister, would you accept if I said to you that she would have went to the spirit world prematurely?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, because I do feel there's a great feeling of her feeling like quite, excited and vibrant is what I want to say. But it's so weird because in my mind, I keep seeing an image of Stevie Nicks, and I know your sister's not Stevie Nicks. Well, I don't know that, but I know she's alive. But I know that there may be something to do with her hairstyle or the big hair or something. But I know that your sister's just trying to come in and be funny and give you peace of mind because she feels that maybe the way that you last saw her or the way that she had passed was maybe quite difficult for you to remember the good times.
Well, she passed while I was out of the country.
Okay, sweetie. Because again, I just need to acknowledge, like, trying to give you more of the memories of the way she used to be, how she was, rather than maybe the way that she was before passing, if I could say that to you. I do believe as well, just as they're connecting here with me, I'm not getting into it. I'm not going to pry, like I said, but I just feel there's a reassurance of wanting to say to you, all will come together. All is going to be okay. Just have a little faith. Have a little faith. All is going to be okay. There is a strong faith feeling, but I don't know what the faith is. But I don't want to, talk about going to church or anything. I just feel that maybe it is important to always have belief and have a faith and say a little prayer and just try and stay optimistic is what I need to say here. Okay. Just very quickly, sweetie, have you been having any issues with teeth at the moment?
Absolutely. I was just doing my taxes with my dental bills. Absolutely.
Okay, because again, I just feel it's their way of just showing how close they are to you and very much being around is what I want to say here. So, Sheila, thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you. Take all the strength and the power and the faith that you need from them because they certainly love you enough to want to give it to you as well.
Unexpected bliss this morning. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You take care, my darling. Thank you. I'm very much aware of a young boy stepping forward here just now. And when I say a young boy, I know that he's maybe in his early 20s as I'm connecting here with him. I do believe that he has went to the spirit world maybe through not necessarily his own hands, but through maybe overdose. Okay, because I know that he brings to my attention of, a mistake or it wasn't meant to be this way is what I need to say here with him. I thought I heard the name Sean there, but we'll see what I do with that in a moment. It comes across very I don't want to say very athletic, but what I do want to say is I know that when he was maybe younger, maybe in school, he was maybe, always on his BMX, always skateboarding, maybe even doing track. But I know that he's trying to show me being more in school years rather than that he was before he passed. I almost felt that he was found passed away, and I'm not sure if he was couch surfing or being more with friends rather than at home, but there's a feeling of not necessarily always knowing where he was, is what I need to say as well here with him. Not getting too much from him, but I know that I want to acknowledge that he wasn't always an addict. He wasn't always taking things. So it almost feels gently out of character for him, is what I wanted to say here. If I'm not connecting with his mum, then you would have a connection to his mum. But I almost felt as if he was here to connect with mum, is certainly what I want to say with that.
Thank you, Dominic. Who understands this information? Raise your hand. We have Jeanette and Christine.
I'm going to go with Christine because I wish I said it. I felt as if I wanted to connect with a female with a C, but obviously I've not said it, so I can't take the brownie point with that. But let me just double check with Christine for a moment.
Okay. Hi, Christine.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, sweetie. Just put me out of my misery here, sweetie, and if I'm wrong, it's okay. But is there a connection to the name Sean?
The communicator might have a friend named Sean.
Okay, sweetie, because I felt as if the name Sean felt emotionally important to him. Okay, so whether they were close or whatever is the impression I get. And would this be relating with your son?
No.
He's not your son, but you
Not
would have a
mine.
connection to his mum?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, because I feel like you may have an opportunity to deliver to his mum only if you see fit to. Okay.
Absolutely.
But I know as he's connecting here with me, sweetie, I described him in two different stages of life, okay? But I cannot help but feel he's adorable. And I don't know why, but I just feel like going back to the school or going back to when he was slightly younger, there's something that just makes me feel he was such a good boy or such a special boy and maybe in a good place, a happy place. And I did feel very active within, biking, skateboarding, athletics, or something that just makes me feel he's going back to happier places rather than maybe the way he was before he passed. Would that be true?
Yes, and yes.
And perfect. And would I be right to say that he wasn't always an addict? Not that I'm saying that he was, but I know that I want to say he wasn't always like this.
True.
It felt almost out of character, if I could say this to you. He also does make me feel that he passed away. He passed away before he got to actually fix things with people or fix things with the family. So I know that there's a feeling of maybe an emotional disconnection or a little bit of an upset in some way. Does that sound true?
That sounds true.
Perfect. Because I know that this is something, and again, please don't overwhelm this, but this is something from the spirit world that he has worked hard trying to heal, but also he's still trying to work hard here to help. And I feel like I said to his mum, trying to help them find comfort to let it be and know that, it doesn't matter. He's okay. He's fine. He's okay. And is what I need to say here. He does make me feel very much a great sense of maybe, like I said, being found, but I didn't feel as if he was at home. Was there anything to do with him being away from home or couch surfing or anything that you would know of?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Because he just keeps telling me to say, if you can, please let the family know that, at least know or be happy that at least I'm always home now. At least I'm safe. At least they know where I am. So I know that he is trying to acknowledge the sense of being home or back home now is what I need to say here. Sounds interesting what I'm about to say, but do you know if his mom had either I don't feel she framed like a jersey or a top of his, but do you know if she'd done anything to do with a
Yes, she did.
t-shirt or okay?
Yeah.
Because I know it's not like being made into like a bear or cushion, but it's like as if he's framing it or boxing it. Because again, I needed to give a little bit more of that evidence or a little bit more of that proof for me, sweetie, if I can say that. Any M connections as well? Is there a Matthew or a Michael or anything connecting with the family?
Not that rings a bell at the moment.
Not that rings a bell. Okay, I may be finishing, but let me just double check with them. Actually, let me take that back. Just bear in mind that I keep hearing something that sounds like Maxwell. Okay. I don't know what to do with it. If we were in a private reading, I'd get you more time with that. But I just feel it's maybe a place or an area or something rather than a person. And I know also, just as he's connecting here with me as well, there's a great sense of him. There's a
Pardon
great
me?
sense of there's a great sense of him trying to reiterate or re-show his mum that it was his life choices, it was his way, not anyone else's way. Okay,
Right.
so I feel like, and I hope you don't mind me being rude here, but I
Nope,
don't
nope, I
feel he would
understand all
ever.
this.
I don't feel he would necessarily have taken responsibility for things when he was here. It would always
True.
be someone else's fault, or it was a dog that ate the homework, or
Absolutely.
But I feel
Delegating blame.
yeah,
Yep.
but I feel he's really, and that shows his growth. That shows his learning, his growth, and his healing. That he's now owning it now. So if you can see fit
Absolutely.
to let them know that, please certainly do so. I could be wrong, but you didn't actually gift his mum anything on a necklace that would be connected to him, like a picture or an angel wing or anything.
I gave her a necklace, but it had nothing to
Okay.
do with him.
Okay. Maybe it's just that he's seen you give her a necklace. Be interesting to know if maybe she's also added to that. But again, just find that little piece out for me, only if you see fit to. But you have a beautiful gift by number one, letting him communicate, because when they get an opportunity to communicate, that helps the healing process for them. But also, if you see fit to, letting his mum know that he's perfectly fine as well. Is certainly what I want to say here.
I always do. Thank you so much.
Perfect. You're so very welcome. Thank you so much for allowing me to chat with you. Okay, perfect. It's a bit generic. Can we do something with that? Okay, so I've got what feels to me like a grandma or nan stepping forward here just now, and it's a bit generic the way I'm going to start with this, but I can't help but what she shows me. I keep seeing her frosting cupcakes, so I know that either she would have made really good cupcakes. You would have the memories of baking with her. Certainly what I want to say here, but it's almost like I feel she would maybe have done this for you to take to the school for maybe an event in school, or maybe to take them to the Girl Scouts or whatever you call it. Or it's almost like not just for the sake of it. You've done it for occasions as well, is what she makes me feel here. I need to do something with a double-barreled name, and I don't really know what I'm going to say with this at the moment, but I really need to acknowledge a double-barreled name, and I also feel like a B-sounding name, so I don't know if there's like a Barbara Ann or Barbara, Barb, something like this that I keep hearing at the moment, which sounds quite interesting. But I know latterly she either started to come down with dementia or an Alzheimer's. There's a feeling of not quite having it all together with my thoughts towards the end is what she makes me feel here.
Thank you. Who understands this information? Please be so kind and press your raise hand button.
I keep hearing the name Pat as well, so I feel that's maybe Patricia.
Okay, we have Lisa with her hand raised. Lisa, if you could unmute yourself there. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi.
Sweetie, if you could just very quickly just tell me what you recognise, darling.
All of it.
All of it. And do you understand this whole thing? And like I said, the cooking or the baking, it feels like doing it for occasions as well is what I feel I want to do here. Because, it's a bit generic, a grandma who's baking cakes, but, I know that this would be memories, or this would be things that you would have spent with her.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
definitely.
Where am I getting the B? Is it like a Barbara Ann, Beth Ann? Like, where's the B sounding name?
Barbara Sorry, Barbara is her daughter and Pat
Yep.
was her daughter.
Perfect. Okay, I can hear that there's a bit of an English accent there, so
Yep.
interesting. But again, I did keep hearing with her as I connected. These were the highlights of my time. These were the highlights of my time. So for me to say that she was a proud lady within her family would be ridiculous, because of course. But I know that she always expressed gratitude and appreciation with or for her family. If I can say this to you, sweetie.
Yes, definitely.
And I know that in some way, I'm a little bit envious of you. I wish I could just keep her myself, actually, because she just feels like an absolute darling, if I can say that to you, sweetie. You see, she's old school, but in a beautiful way, you see. I think this is going to sound off, but do you know, to your knowledge, if she ever had a cameo brooch?
She did. Yeah, she did.
Because I've just seen the cameo, and it's almost like I feel either you or someone maybe always enjoyed looking through her brooches, her pins, her this, her that. And I know that not necessarily a jewellery box like a music box, but I know that she's showing me her little boxes, and she kept her stuff good. She kept her stuff all organised with her chains, her necklaces, or whatever. And I feel that that was something that it's definitely you actually, would have spent time looking at, cleaning, or her telling you stories about certain pieces. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
And I
much
know
good
that you
memory.
may fall off your seat when I say this to you, but would you accept, or would you understand why I feel she's a bit of a medium herself?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Because she just keeps making me feel very much that she knows how to communicate, she knows what she's doing, and I'm like, oh, this is easy, this is nice. But something makes me feel that spiritual side of her and that spirituality as well, if I can just say that to you. Now, where would I get the impression of, or who lived with where there was the D? Where am I getting like connections to Dorset or Doncaster? I feel like I want to go with a D place.
Yes, that's her daughter.
Okay, perfect. Because I know that I need to be around there as well, if I can certainly say that to you. And have I got a Jacqueline or a Jackie somewhere?
There was a Jack.
Jack, okay. I don't know. I've not got the person. I just hear the name being mentioned, so I know there's relevance of needing to acknowledge him. If I can certainly say that to you. God, here we go. I'm not got the voice to sing just now because I've been so clogged up and so. But you know the little song that goes along the lines of "Fetch the blanket from the bedroom. We'll
Yes.
go walking one." I
Yep.
just feel like as she was baking, as she was cleaning, she was always singing away and doing her thing, and it just makes me feel quite content, if I could say that to you. But I know that your family, when things started to maybe start to fail for her a little bit, people used to try to play some of the old records or sing the songs and talk about the times gone by, because she keeps telling me to say that as much as she maybe wasn't always interacting, she remembers. She remembers.
Bless her. Yeah.
And that made her feel so content, or so happy, if I could certainly say that to you as well. I know that also in the spirit world with her, George is with her. Okay, because I keep hearing
Yep.
George being mentioned
That's her
as well
husband.
here. Because it's important to know that they're together as well, if I could say that to you. I don't know what it is, Darren. If you can show me, that'd be great. There must be a house that looks, I don't know if there was a house that was an old church that was converted into a house, or a house that connected to a church, but I need to talk about a church house, which sounds crazy, but it's the windows I keep seeing in a house.
Yes, that was back in her younger days. Yeah. I know that
Okay,
place.
okay. Because I know that there's great memories there, there's happy times there. And would that have been the house where she had the apple tree in the yard?
Yes.
In the back garden? Perfect. Because I know that I
Yep.
want to talk about as well, seeing the trees and the apples. And, it just feels, and I hope this doesn't sound too generic, but I almost want to say to you, as she's just holding out my hand here, and she gently rubbed it. She just looked straight in my eyes, and she says, "It was a wonderful life. It was a wonderful life." You
Yep.
see?
That was
And I
exactly what
know
she
that
used to
that's
say.
something she would always emphasize about that. Now, I know that this is going to sound crazy, but I have to trust it. Okay? Your grandma and your grandpa, there's somehow they know, or they had connections to someone that had left and went on the Titanic. because I know that I want to talk about the story or the who, the new in some ways what I need to say here. And just bear in mind the name Bill. Okay, but I need to say
Okay.
Bill and is what I feel here. Um, she's telling me to say it's maybe time that you get the whisk out and the scales out and get yourself doing a little bit of the baking again, because I feel there's a great sense of you know again, not to pry, but there's an element of you missing quite a lot of those who once walked this earth with you. Okay,
Yeah.
so things are
Yeah.
very much, and I just feel that that will bring an essence of feeling them back or coming back around again. Is certainly what I need to say here. But please know that she's never far from your side, darling, and I know that you know that. I know you feel that. I know that there's something to do with you. Talking out loud with her and sharing your thoughts with her, and she just keeps telling me to say, if only I could respond back to you, that you could hear me. She says it would help, I know. Okay, but maybe this is the part of today. It's just giving you that reassurance. All right.
Oh, brilliant.
Did she ever have a corgi dog?
No, not a corgi, no.
Why am I getting the feeling of the little dog around her? I wasn't too
Yes.
sure why I felt like a corgi, but I felt very. It's either a mixed dog or something, but it's this little dog that's around her, and I don't know if there's a connection to the name of like Socks or Socky or Suki or something. That sounds weird, but I keep hearing that name, and I feel that she's telling me to say the dogs are with her as well, if I can just say that.
Yeah, I could take that. Thank
All
you.
right, my darling. Sincerely, thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you. Please take comfort knowing that as they gather together, it's time for your family to gather together and celebrate. So there's something coming up in the next couple of months where we're going to be gathering together to celebrate, and they'll be there as well, darling. Okay.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
sincerely,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for allowing me to share that with you. Sincerely.
Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. So very welcome. Sandra, I will pass back to you, beautiful lady.
Oh, thank you so much. That was incredible. Well, I have some great announcements, so don't go anywhere. First of all, I know we've had some friends that joined a little late today, didn't know about the time change. The next 2 weeks, same thing. So our friends in Europe, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, please sign in 1 hour early. And after that, we'll get back to our regular ways. The link you used to join today is also a link for the replay. Takes Zoom about a half hour to process, so you'll be able to go back in and see what you missed. You can meet Dominic, Darren, Scott, and friends in April if you want to join. It's called Together with Spirit. It's a beautiful retreat the weekend of the 17th through 20th of April. You can go to togetherwithspirit.com. It's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. Also, you can find out more about Dominic on his website, which is dominicboag.com. You can book readings there in person in some places and also on Zoom. And he is the author of the book, The Voice of Spirit, The Boy Next Door with the Incredible Gift. And Dominic, Darren, and I, our three amigos, will be together again. I believe it's the 29th of this month. If you're not ready for medium demonstration to be over in 1/2 hour time, I will be joined by Chris Jacobs for another online medium demonstration. It's a 90-minute demonstration. It's $15, and you can register at wedon'tdie.com. Just click on the store page. Or in fact, when the closing music plays, I'll put the link in there if you would like to join us for that. Next Sunday, I will be joined by medium Laura Hamilton for our Sunday gathering. A special shout out to our friends who have made our Sunday gathering possible. Thank you so much for your kind donations to keep it going with the technology and things behind the scenes. We really do appreciate it. There are lots of people around the world that are blessed to be able to see the Sunday gathering either live or by replay by what you've done. Thank you. If you ever wish to donate to the Sunday gathering, or if you want to register for the next several Sunday gatherings, or you want to watch replays of many Sunday gatherings just to keep that light shining, just go to wedon'tdie.com and click on the Sunday gathering page. The last thing I want to say is you may know these words by the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. Watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions. Watch your actions. They become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And the great Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. So, my friend, we can feed into negativity, we can feed into gossip, we can go down that tunnel, or we can be the light. We can take the lead from the words from Darren and Dominic today, and you can spread happiness. People are looking at you. They are. What will they see? Someone who's always positive and kind and making a difference and grateful, or the other. I seem to think you're the first because you are here with us on the Sunday gathering, and we try our very best to share this positivity, and I can't help but think there's a ripple effect. So we want to thank you for being here, certainly. That's all I need to say, and I'd like to turn it over to Dominic for our closing prayer.
Thank you, Sandra. Friends, let's come together once again just to close this beautiful service down with gratitude. Infinite Spirit, we graciously thank you for allowing us to come close here today under the banner of We Don't Die. We also thank you for allowing our loved ones to come forward and show us that there is no death and that love truly always finds a way to show us and encourage us to keep moving forward. We also ask you, Spirit, to give us the power and the love to help us be that spark of light to bring into the darkness where it is sorely needed. Help us sprinkle a little bit more of a ray of sunshine and help us create the rainbow so that we can make a change and make a difference. All this we say in your name, which is unconditional love. Amen.
Thanks so much, Dominic and Darren. Love the three amigos. Thank you to you, friends, and then also to our friends and family in the spirit world. If sometimes we feel like we can't go on, you can hold on. So we're going to go play our final song for today. And
see you next